Hello and welcome back to some more SIW. There you go. Abbreviating a series title because it's I don't really like it, but we're gonna stick with it. This time we'll be talking about Japanese dramas, hitting all bases, specifically dramas starring Kimura Takuya. So basically during these quarantine days, I think the most out of like watching movies and stuff, I probably consumed a lot more Japanese dramas. Like I usually watch like 2 or 3 episodes a day, which is a lot because they're usually around 45-50 minutes a pop. And my pool of experience with dramas isn't that high, like compared to just normal TV shows / movies / anything else, but like a good 85% to 95% have all been dramas starring Kimura Takuya for whatever reason. I think it just started when I first started, I just watched like the highly recommended ones, and they were good, and I think some of them starred him, but I didn't really take notice until I think it was last year where I had like, oh, how about I start watching dramas again? It could be fun. I'm kind of getting bored of just watching horror movies, like in early 2018 and like early 2019, like pretty much all I watched were horror movies, and like 70% of them were bad. So I thought it was good to swap it up. So I just chose a random one that sounded interesting, and I ended up choosing one called Heroes, starring Kimura Takuya, and it was like one of the best things I've watched in such a long time. And I just thought his character was like the coolest thing ever, so then I just made a habit of watching his dramas in particular. So like usually I haven't watched all of them, but I'm getting there. I mean, I'm taking a slight break watching something else, but I just think he's a really solid actor. He's definitely one of the actors where you kind of notice him and not, or to me anyways, you notice him while he doesn't blend in too well, for better or for worse. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Like another example for me would be like Nicolas Cage. Like, to me, he never really, I mean, he's a good actor, but I always think of him as Nicolas Cage would be a good way to describe the situation. Same thing with Kimura Takuya. It's like when I'm watching a drama, it's like, oh, this time he's a hockey player, this time he's a French chef, whatever. It's kind of like that, but basically I think almost all of his performances he's done were pretty good. Maybe not all of the dramas were. That's a couple excellent ones, a lot of good ones. There's only been one I didn't really like, but in general he's just a really, I don't know, I think he's a cool guy. And I'm not really a person who has favorites for actors. Like I've never really watched anything because of an actor before. If anything, it would be the director, because you might like their style, their stories they tell. But yeah, he's like the first one. I guess I am a Kimura Takuya fan. So yeah, in this one I'll be talking about the 4 most recent ones I've watched, since I did take a break from Japanese dramas, but I kind of started to rewatch them once I've been locked up in my house for so long. So yeah, we'll just be going over 4 of the recent ones. One has been excellent, 2 have been good, and one, actually no, they've all been good. One has been like pretty excellent in my opinion though. So for the first one I've watched, it was called Grand Mason Tokyo. It was his latest project from 2019, which was 11 episodes or 12. It was the standard one where it was about him, Kimura Takuya, being a high cuisine French chef, and it was fairly good. I haven't really watched a lot of cooking shows, but I imagine they'd be good because it is a topic I am slightly interested in. And I've never had like fine dining, high class meals. Like I've had expensive ones, but like one of the really interesting points of the show was there's a lot of food that I probably would never even imagined was a thing. Like a lot of stuff didn't even look like food. Like it was very compressed into small meals, very artful. So that was pretty nice. They did a pretty good job at making cooking look cool, like with the sped up montage with a pretty simple but intense sounding track. Probably my favorite OST out of the bunch. For the performances, I think the cast was very good. I liked the majority of the characters, and even the ones I didn't like too much, I understood them, which I think is pretty much the standard you want to hit on characters being good. I didn't love any of them. I mean, I loved I forgot his name, but the amateur chef. I thought his development arc was the best, but they were all solid. I think the one problem I did have with the characterizations would be the female lead. Like I think she had a very strong start, and I liked her character at the beginning, but as they like explored the other characters, it just felt like she had no focus at all. Where to the point where like once the show started to finish and everything was wrapping up and they brought the attention back to her, I was like, I don't really care about you as much anymore. And obviously you are supposed to shine more light on different characters per episode to develop their characters, which I do think they did pretty good. The main cast is still supposed to have some spotlight, like Kimura Takuya. Takuya's character was a pretty good centerpiece. While he wasn't the main, I guess he wasn't the main thing, but he was always like shined in the episodes, while her character just kind of felt like it had no progress in the latter half of the story. So I think that was a detriment, because she did have a mildly strong start, and in the end I didn't really care too much about her. But again, everyone else was pretty good. I really liked, by the end of it, I really liked the rival restaurant, because obviously there's a rival restaurant in a cooking show. While I didn't care at them at the beginning, by the time at the end, I almost felt bad for them that they kind of didn't get the respect they deserve or whatever. Because this show is just, again, it's fine dining. They're aiming for Michelin stars. It's pretty much like the epitome of food. So it was a very interesting experience. There's also like they tried to do some like romance problems, but they like brought it up in the beginning, so it's like, oh, this is interesting. It'll obviously blow up eventually, and when it did, it kind of resulted like pretty lukewarm, whereas kind of an open-ended ending where they might come back to the issue near the end, but they just never did. They kind of just left it floating. So I thought that was kind of mishandled too. But overall, I would put it in a solid good like 6.5 out of 10. Right in the middle of the pack for his stuff. I think that again the subject matter was pretty interesting, so I enjoyed that, but just not the strongest characters in the world, and a few problems here and there. Next one I watched was A Beautiful Life, one of his most popular, at least according to the ratings. I think it was his second or third most popular drama, which I didn't know at the time, but yeah, it was pretty good. I thought it was better than Grand Mason Tokyo. It was a romance. This time he was a hairstylist, and you learn stuff. I probably didn't learn as much about hairstyling as I did about French cuisine, but it was still a good experience. I thought the cast was at least the main cast was pretty great. The female lead especially had a lot of chemistry with Takuya, which is what you want in a romance, right? Honestly, like, for me anyways, romances are like, there is a centralized plot, but most of it is just very, very strong characters and side characters. The side characters were decent. Like, there's a secondary relationship between like the brother of the main girl and a friend, and I thought that relationship was very fun to watch. And even the antagonist, well, semi-antagonist for like the first half of the series. Oh no, sorry. My boom thing fell off. Whatever, the mic protector. It's been acting up. I've been having trouble holding it. I guess I'll just hold it with my hand for the rest, at least for this talk right now. Where was I? Yeah, that guy. That guy, he was a good antagonist. He was like very petty, but I kind of liked his style. I do enjoy those kind of petty characters, and I thought his resolution, when you first see it, it's kind of like, it kind of ended easily, but eventually you're satisfied. He turns into like some wholesome boy, so it was nice. And the problems are interesting. I think it's a very solid one. There are still issues. I think another pretty important factor of a romance is like danger in the relationship. So like, obviously in a romance it'll never be steady, right? And it wasn't always steady. They did use I didn't mention it, but while it is a hairstylist thing, the girl he is dating is in a wheelchair because of a disease, so they do take a lot of angles commentating on the problems people in wheelchairs have, which was pretty interesting, and I think it was well done. And a lot of the issues did involve with like her insecurities about dating a healthy person, which is interesting. Again, like, it's a very unique dynamic between someone who can walk and someone who can't. So I thought that was played out well. The thing I was trying to commentate on was there's usually like love rivalries, and there were a couple, but they just didn't feel threatening. Like, you knew that the guy would never choose them over the other one, even if it was tempting. And like, I just like the romance is a little rockier for my taste. Like, it just felt pretty stable eventually. But yeah, it's a small complaint. I think the love rivals too, because there's like two kind of, or I guess there's like two girls and two guys for each of the main character that they could possibly steal them, or steal their affection. I think like one was a pretty interesting character, the female character for Takuya, but she just kind of sizzled off in the second half. Like, I think her character just kind of dropped. Like, she was still in the series, but she didn't do anything. So I don't know if, like, I would rather have a better resolution, and, you know, like they did with the rival / nemesis, have the resolution and still have them be an interesting character. So that he kind of dropped off. The second one was actually kind of a threat, but it felt too steady, so it wasn't really. And the two guys kind of dropped off too. Anyway, it's not too big of a complaint, but I just would have wanted to see that better. I also think that they brought up some, like, I think they did well with the plot points of the troubles with the relationships, but they brought up like the plot point of the Kimura Takuya's parents being like rich and disapproving of it. So I thought, oh, that's obviously gonna come back and affect the relationship in some way, or his job, but it just never came back. So that was kind of weird. I just like a girlfriend from his past being one of the love interests did come back, but it's kind of weird that they set up the whole parent disapproving dynamic and they just don't act on it. It would have been pretty interesting. But overall, this is a pretty good series. Like the name A Beautiful Life really matches with the ending. Like the best way to describe the end of this, or I guess even the whole drama, would be very beautiful. Like I thought the ending was very, very spot on and I really enjoyed it. I think I give it like a 7 out of 10. I didn't see why people liked it a lot. It has a lot of emotions, very good chemistry. You know, you're happy at times, you're definitely sad at times, and a good sense of comedy. This is definitely, I wouldn't put it, for me, I didn't love this series, obviously, like many others did, if it's like his second most watched series, but it's definitely a solid romance. I would definitely like make it my standard for J-drama romances in general. I will now put the bar, you know, be as good as Beautiful Life or be better to be a success to me. But yeah, solid piece. I fit the filter. Oh, is it dropping? I don't think it's dropping. Alright. So the next one is another romance I watched called Long Vacation, and spoiler alert, I thought it was excellent. It's definitely one of the best I've watched from him. I don't know if I want to give it first place, because I'm not talking about it in this one, but Heroes is definitely my first place for him. But this might as well be second, because this was an excellent romance in my opinion. Again, it nails the basics of having great characters. Like, I think this is definitely his best dynamic with a female lead, even above Heroes. Or is it just called Hero? I think it's called Hero, sorry. It's been a while. I absolutely loved the female lead. When she first came on in the first episode, I was like, I don't know. But you definitely grow to love her. Amazing cast. Definitely one of the most developed cast members. And like, it's like, and unlike Beautiful Life, where I kind of care about 2 of the other ones and I don't really care about the rest, I care about pretty much everyone in this one. Like, I love a lot of them, and even the characters I don't like, I understand their purposes. And there is this love instability via other romances. Like a lot of the couples get switched around and breakups actually happen that are long term. So it's very, this dynamic of you not knowing if they're gonna end up together by the end of it is pretty great. Like even the main couple, like it's pretty shaky up until like the last couple episodes, which is what I want. You want it to be unpredictable. Story-wise, he is a pianist, so there you go, piano knowledge. And this was the first drama I've watched of him, because like it's said in the beginning where it's like, oh, he's like the coolest guy. In this one, he's actually not cool. I mean, he's kind of adorable, but he's like awkward and stuttery and stuff. He still looks cool, obviously, but he has that problem. So it's like the first time where he's not just like an absolute badass. So that was also an interesting dynamic. There's a lot more relationships too, because in romances in general, you usually have like the main couple and then there's like a side couple, maybe like made up of like the fallen rivals, like that gave up on the other person since they're like deadlocked on the main relationship and got together or something. But this one had like multiple ones. And I can't stress that I loved all the characters. Like they were pretty equal to Takuya, if not better in this one. Not just the main 2. Momo, I think her name was great. One of the better characters I've seen, being super I don't even know how to describe her personality. It's just great. And even because of this, the current drama I'm watching, it isn't a Takuya drama. It's It's starring a bunch of the characters from this one, because it was interesting enough for me to not watch a Takuya drama. So, and it was just a lot more fun. Like Beautiful Life, again, lots of fun moments, but it just had a very sort of sad but sort of satisfying ending, where it felt very proper. And in this one, you're just having a lot of fun. Obviously, there's sad moments, and probably not as sad as Beautiful Life gets, but you just like the vibe better. Also, the soundtrack was definitely the best of the four. And by soundtrack, I mean there's like one really, really good track that they use a lot. I think it's called Deeper. I liked it on YouTube. It is just premium. They use like the instrumental and the voice version, but that is so catchy, and it has a premium opening. Like, I don't think the other two had a real opening, just like a music into title card, which is like sort of the general, since this is a very old series. I forgot to give the dates. Like, the first one was in 2019, Beautiful Life was in early 2000s, and this one was in Long Vacation. Did I say Long Vacation? I feel like I did say Long Vacation. That's its title. It was in I was about to say 63. There's no way. It's like 1993. No, 86, right? I'm confused. 1996. Yeah. There you go. That doesn't. Why would it be 86? There you go. 96. So it's definitely like the beginning of most of the people's careers. So this is their humble beginning. So it's very interesting to see them raw. But yeah, it's just a general good vibe. Oh wait, did I talk about the opening? I didn't. It's like, unlike like the title cards plus sorry, I'm getting so jumbled up. I guess it's because it's not nighttime. I usually record at night. It's like super long. Like, there's been a couple, mainly Kimura Takuya dramas, that just have this awesome opening, and it's just the cheesiest thing, right? It's just like them being candid, having like the cast being candid. I don't think they're even in their characters, just having fun with some like shoddy editing, like it's very slow-mo and stuff. And the opening's literally like a minute 30 / 2 minutes long. It just goes on for more than you expect, and it's so cheesy, but it always hypes me up. I love that. It's been done in previous ones, but it was very good. And it is important to note that I actually think that the sound mixing in this series is good, which surprises me, because I don't really look for which sounds kind of mean, but I don't really look for like editing / sound mixing, because they're usually not amazing / will blow me away in Japanese dramas, at least the older ones. But the way that they use the songs in this one is pretty good. I think they do a very effective job, and nothing too cheesy. Like, I didn't mention it in Beautiful Life, but there's this scene where it was like raining, and you can obviously tell it's from like a hose up above or whatever, but it's raining, and then it pans over to another character, and there's just like no rain in the background because they didn't put it in that area. But as soon as she walks over, it's like just raining too. Like, they didn't have enough radius for the rain, so like simple stuff like that. It kind of makes it charming too in a way. But yeah, Long Vacation was amazing. An amazing romance experience, and I would definitely recommend it if you do want to ever get into it. This is probably a good start, and it's like one of his first dramas. I think it's his second or third. So yeah, On Vacation, I'm giving it a 9. Can't stop me from throwing out 9s. 9s are like, 8 is usually what I give to something that you really appreciate the technique and if they do everything right, and like 9 and 10s are given if for more personal stuff. So I love this, and yeah, definitely the best one I've seen so far, and who knows, maybe one day, after letting it marinate in my mind a bit, it might reach number 1 above Heroes. But I'm not gonna push it that far yet. And finally, something I finished last night, but I think I have a good idea of my feelings on it. It's called Mr. Brain. This one came out, I think, definitely after A Beautiful Life. Not Mr. Brainwash. French street artist. 2009, so close to the end of the decade. This time he's a brain scientist working for a criminal police science unit. It's kind of like a episodic crime series with a couple bit of futuristic tech, and it's pretty good. I think it's hard to say. I don't think it's better made than A Beautiful Life, but I think I enjoyed it more. Maybe it's just because of the content it provided, because I haven't watched too many criminal stuff. Like, when I was a kid, I used to watch a couple episodes of Criminal Minds, but it's been a long time since I've seen something of that genre. And I think the crimes themselves were very, very good. They're extremely interesting. I don't think I would have come up with some of them. They're not overly confusing. Like, they're interesting, unique crimes, and you can kind of solve it too. I mean, to be fair, I do theories and stuff, so like, it's pretty easy to solve a crime just by looking at the characters involved. Then it's obviously, you can just narrow it down. But if you're not doing that, it's a fairly straightforward pattern with some twists, but you can usually do that. You can usually see it coming, which is something good. I think it's good when you can read what's happening and when they do take you for a loop. But a lot of interesting techniques on the killings and stuff, so I was very happy with that. And obviously for this type of show, that's the most important part, so that's good. Takuya's performance, I probably should have rated Takuya's performance for each one. We'll do that after. But this time he was playing sort of a nerdy character. I guess it wasn't cool like the Long Vacation one. But he was still cool. I think he was still cool even as being like super nerdy and socially awkward. He had the longest hair yet. I was sort of scared at the beginning. He had short, like, blonde hair, which I'm guessing was a wig. And then once the time skips, just the most luscious hair yet. It's a trademark. Though I guess in Grand Mason Tokyo he doesn't have it, but that's like years later. But it's kind of synonymous with him. In my experience, in early Takuya, you will see the hair, and this was his most ambitious hair game yet. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, his character is good, and the banter between the crime team was good. I think there were interesting characters, but out of the 4 dramas, I think these characters were the least developed. Like, I like the scenes where they interacted and stuff, but I don't think they just had enough time to develop them. Like, you developed sort of a couple of them, but there's a lot of like main people on the crime team that I'll be honest, I don't even remember some of their names, and a lot of potential to like characters, and there's just not enough exposure. Like, I feel like a big problem is because of the runtime, because it's only 8 episodes long for whatever reason, and I've never seen something that short, and it could definitely use the extra 3/4 episodes for a standard showing. And it's kind of weird, because criminal shows like that, you feel like they have like almost all the time in the world, because like, you know, CSI, even though I've never watched it, it has like a ton of seasons, just because it's very episodic, right? You don't need to end it anytime soon, so I'm surprised they cut it off so early when they could have just done, and they were doing very good and interesting crimes, so I wish they could have did that. And I think it really hindered the show, because again, characters need a lot more development. There's a lot of introduced characters like the janitor girl and the cafeteria lady, where you think that, oh, maybe that are just zero development. Like, I could care less about them, when I think if they gave them more screen time, maybe I would like them. So that was a big flaw in it. But again, it hit the basics. It hit the main idea of having good crimes. So that definitely carries it. Soundtrack's good. Oh, the opening's Van Halen's Jump. That was one of the daycare bangers. I remember in daycare they would always play that song. It's definitely cool, and it was fun seeing that. It's not as good as Long Vacations one though, because it's only like a 30-second episode, like 30-second length, and I don't know what they're doing, man. Where's my 2-minute intro? That's what I'm looking for. How can I get hyped up in that short amount of time? But yeah, I like the antagonist too. He's very cool. I've only seen him once in another movie, which, fun fact, I did actually have another Stuff I've Watched episode, but I kind of scrapped it because it wasn't very good. And it had one of the movies he was in. I believe it's called, oh, it's a very weird title. When You Die, I Hope You Die, or something. I'm not gonna remember. When You Die, well, it doesn't matter, because it's like I think I said it was like a worse version of Audition, which is, and it's by the same director as Audition, if you care enough. But that guy, he makes a super good villain. Even in that movie, he just felt like a super scumbag. And in this one, he's just like, when he smiles, it honestly creeps me out. So, and it felt like it was weird because they even left it open for another season almost. Like, the ending was very open-ended. So I was like, oh man, why is it 8 episodes? Why are they letting the main guy escape when there's not gonna be it's definitely not gonna be a sequel? Because the thing with Takuya is he usually never does like season 2 of stuff, which is kind of disappointing, but it's also good because I guess he wants like constantly different roles. So yeah. Anyways, to conclude for this one, good. Oh wait, no, you gotta. Sorry, I forgot. The editing in this one is so whack. Like the first episode, because if you haven't watched a J drama, the first episode's always like a little longer. Like they're usually like an hour long. This one was like an hour and a half. It was like movie length, but the editing in the first episode was so insane. It was like, alright, we gotta make this, because obviously for the first episode, its job is to attract the viewer to watch more, but they just went nuts on the editing. I was like, what is not in a good way too. I was surprised I could handle it, because usually I'm pretty sensitive. If you've seen some of my other reviews where like my eyes hurt from stuff, but it was insane. And the editing in general, like a lot of, not even just the high-tech stuff, but just weird choices. So if you ever watch this and you watch the first episode and you're like, what did I just watch? You know, from the editing standpoint, don't let it detract you. While it still has that sort of weird flair, it's not as prominent, so don't worry too much about that. And they do have this cute, I think this one was probably the most, this along with Grand Mason Tokyo was the most educational, because they gave so many brain facts, and I'm horrible at any sort of science, so it was interesting. They have like these cute little 3D animations where they explain the facts and stuff, so I was very happy with this one. So this one I would give I'd also give it a 7. Did I rate Beautiful Life? I'm so all over the place. I don't even have a notepad mapping the basics of this. Whatever. Like, to conclude, Grand Mason Tokyo is like a 6. Beautiful Life's like a 7. Long Vacation's like a 9, and Mr. Brain is like a 7. Why not? And Kimura Takuya performances. Actually, I guess no, they were all good. Like I said, I liked them more in Long Vacation, but that just naturally happens if you like the series better, right? But there wasn't anything he was bad in. So yeah, he was great. I think it sounds like I'm propping him up to be like some sort of like top actor or whatever, which I do think he is, but like don't be disappointed. I guess it's just my taste. I really like cool people in general. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. This was fun. I will talk about more dramas in general since I've been watching a lot of them more Kimura Takuya dramas too eventually. But yeah, this has been fun. Hopefully you enjoyed. Have fun with whatever you're doing and stay safe and healthy in these uncertain times. You know, follow my lead and just do nothing all day. Watching Kimura Takuya. I don't know, why am I saying his full name? It's just weird saying his first name or last name. You gotta say the full name. Kimura Takuya at SMAP Idol. Starring in the legendary Japanese series Heroes. Anyways, this is enough. I'm sorry. This is definitely a extra stuffed video though. I like it. Thank you for watching.